What's going on, everyone? So D'Angelo Russell is having a solid year for the Lakers. He's had some very rough moments, some very rough games. He's had some games of absolute brilliance. He's really elevated and picked up his defense this season, which has been nice. He's not like some great elite defensive player, don't get me wrong, but he's been much better than he has been in the previous years from the defensive side of things. In 23 games, he's played all 23. He's started all 23. He's averaging 30 minutes per game. He's shooting 48% from the field, which is very good, very solid. He's shooting 40% from three-point range on 5.5 attempts, which is, again, very good, very solid. 54% from two-point range, EFG of 57%. He's also giving you 6 assists, as well as a steal, a block, and he's giving you 16.6 points, so basically 17 points per game, along with 3 rebounds. So, again, he has been a very good contributor for the Lakers. He's had some really good games, some great games where he's taken over down the stretch. He's had some games where he's kind of been like the only offense to start games for the Lakers, but he's also had some games where he's just been terrible out there on the basketball court. And the big running narrative is that the Lakers are going to trade D'Angelo Russell at some point, right? He is the one contract that is of value. He is kind of the odd man out. Like, you can't really play him and Austin Reaves together. Also, Austin Reaves has just been better in like the closing moments. D'Angelo Russell doesn't even usually play in the fourth quarter anymore. It's not going to work. This just seems like a marriage that is headed for divorce. And it's just it's getting more and more to be a matter of when, not if, especially since Austin Reaves has really starting to play well these last like handful of games, to the point where it's like, it feels like Austin Reaves is starting to get back to being that guy. The only issue with Austin Reaves was just his three-point shooting, right? His three-point shooting was very lackluster this season, shooting 33% from three-point range. But the last few games, his three-point shot has been coming around nicely, and he's been shooting at a very high clip, which is good. My one big concern, though, with trading D'Angelo Russell is just the playmaking. Because D'Angelo Russell is the Lakers' best playmaker, not named LeBron James. Austin Reaves is capable of finding the open man. He's able to find, the open cutter or whatever, right? But he's not great at just making plays and being patient. Like, D'Angelo Russell, even in like yesterday's game against the Mavericks, right? He had a couple beautiful highlight plays that were just because of his understanding of the point guard position and the way that things work and just the way he sees the court, right? Where Austin Reaves had several moments, he had a ton of assists, but he had several moments where he forced things and he's not as comfortable and he hasn't been as good with ball pressure. And it's just, there is that concern of like, we would need Austin Reaves to figure it out a lot quicker rather than easing him in. But I just think from the moment D'Angelo Russell signed his new contract and they convinced him to waive his no trade clause, the writing was on the wall that D'Lo was going to be moved at some point. And we got some new news, some new information in that regard. So we got a report that alleges that the Los Angeles Lakers are actively looking to trade point guard D'Angelo Russell with the February 8 trade deadline just under 2 months away. So per Sam Amico, Russell is having a nice season, though, and the Lakers are actively looking to move him, sources told Hoops Wire. So again, the big headlines, the big conversation, at least at the moment, is D'Angelo Russell, a package centered around D'Angelo Russell for either Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. There was another report that came out that many NBA execs think that Zach LaVine will be a Laker at some point this season and that it'll be sooner rather than later. Nothing is going to happen anyway till at least January 15th. The trade eligibility thing, I get, is December 15th, but you still got to match salaries. You still have to figure all that stuff out, right? Like, nothing's happening until at least January 15th and more likely closer to that February 8th deadline. I just don't want to see people getting their hopes up. They're like, oh, Lakers are going to make a trade. Lakers are going to trade D'Lo, right? Oh, it's December 15th. Lakers are going to make a trade. No, it's very, very likely not going to happen. So the Lakers are going to have to continue to remain patient, do their due diligence, right? And see what potential is out there as far as the trade goes. Like I said, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are the two headliners at the moment. We will see. Like, right, between now and the trade deadline is a lot of time. There is very likely could be several guys that end up becoming available that could be in the Lakers' wheelhouse. That could make more sense than maybe a Zach LaVine or an Alex or a DeMar DeRozan, right? That is definitely a real possibility. Now my problem is the Lakers are very limited on assets. The Lakers are very limited on just like draft picks. They got basically a first round pick, a pick swap, and then like a couple seconds that they could trade plus some young guys. So you look at teams like Oklahoma City, you look at teams like the Knicks, you look at some of these other teams that they just have like a treasure trove of draft picks, which is why I think a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine kind of make the most sense, even if somebody else becomes available, because DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are a lot of what the Lakers need, but there's not going to be many teams that are going to be in the hunt to try to acquire these guys. But if somebody like, a Pascal Siakam or, an OG Anunoby or something like that, which would make a world of sense for the Lakers. But realistically, if those guys become available, there's going to be so many teams that are going to be after them and try and vie to get them that I just don't think the Lakers would be able to be in those conversations for real, right? But like a DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, I mean, you might not even have to give up a first for either of these guys. DeMar DeRozan is 34 years old and is a free agent after this season, and Zach LaVine is a $40 million contract for a player that's not worth $40 million, and nobody seems to really want him. And it's not because he's not talented. It's just, again, he's a very specific type of player that very few teams need, and not every team has $40 million in salary that they can use to go trade to acquire him without just destroying the team. The Lakers at least have that. But, between now and the trade deadline, there's going to be all kinds of just talks and rumors and speculation about what is going to happen and just D'Angelo Russell potentially getting traded. I don't mind the Lakers trading D'Lo. I think that it's going to happen. I do think like if the Lakers didn't and they just decided, hey, you know what, we're going to keep D'Lo this year, like I wouldn't be mad about that. But I do need D'Lo to be more consistent. I do need D'Lo to play better on a more regular basis. These like hot and cold games is what's really frustrating, right? Like he'll have games where he's just absolutely brilliant and just fantastic out there, and then he'll have a game where he's just, he's an issue. He can't score the basketball. At least D'Lo can impact the game in other ways, right? Like I said, his playmaking, his assists. Also, one of the best plays in all of basketball is the D'Lo AD pick and roll. I mean, D'Lo's literally like leading the league in that category. So that is very helpful. And D'Angelo Russell is one of the few guys that actively tries to get AD the basketball, which is another concern of mine, right? If the Lakers were to trade D'Lo, that like how much like LeBron has done a better job the last few games, but he also kind of gets in these modes where he just like, it's almost like he just completely forgets AD's out there. Same thing with Austin Reeves. My problem with Reeves is he just gets tunnel vision at times, right? Where D'Lo will be in attack mode, but he's still surveying. He still has his head on a swivel. He's still keeping eyes on like in case there's a play that opens up and develops that he can make. Where Reeves, that play could open up. You could put a big old spotlight on that play, and he still is going to just try to create the contact and get to the back. Like, he just gets this tunnel vision at times. And I also have my concerns where, if you were to get a DeMar DeRozan or, like, say, a Zach LaVine, how much does that negate Austin Reeves' impact? Right? Because Austin Reeves right now, he's the guy that's helping close down the stretch. He's the guy that's hitting a lot of the big shots down the stretch. He's the guy with the ball in his hands down the stretch, where if you get a DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine, they're very likely going to be stepping into that role. Right? They're going to be the guy that has the ball in their hands down the stretch that's going to be hitting the big shots and all that stuff, where, D'Lo, you need that guy that can kind of put it all together, And I just think D'Lo has shown that he's just better at that. It doesn't mean Reeves can't get there. And this isn't an argument to say like, oh, the Lakers should trade Reeves over D'Lo. No, I think you trade D'Lo over Reeves, but it is a point of concern. It's something that's at least worth talking about. I definitely think if you have to pick between D'Lo and Austin Reeves, you keep Austin Reeves, right? Austin Reeves is better at several other things, but they both kind of like, they're both extremely redundant, but at the same time, they both have like these similar, like, or these differences in just their styles of play and what they're good at, that there's the argument to be made for either side. But I just think, you got to package Rui, you got to package D'Lo. I love Rui. I want Rui to be a Laker for life. But we're in win now mode, and Rui just doesn't have a place on the team right now. He just doesn't. He's in very limited role because he can only play the 4 because he doesn't have the lateral quickness and the movement and all that stuff. And I look at this and I just go, like, the Lakers are going to have to make a move. They have to. Right? Like, I know some people think that the Lakers are fine and they don't. The Lakers have too many glaring holes that you got to resolve. You got to fix it. And if you can fix that through a trade by trading D'Lo and like Rui or D'Lo and Vincent or whatever, I think you have to do it. Right? You owe it to LeBron. You owe it to the win now position that we're in. Look, if the Lakers don't do anything, I'm not going to be mad about it. Like, I do think D'Lo can still have an impact, right? When D'Lo's good, the Lakers usually win. That's not a coincidence. I mean, Austin Reeves had an incredible game against Dallas, and the Lakers lost. For whatever reason, if D'Lo had that game, the Lakers probably win that game. For whatever, every time D'Lo has just a excellent masterclass game, the Lakers win. But it's just a lack of consistency. And I just don't think that there's a real fit and major need for him. And I just think you're going to have to pick between D'Lo or Reeves. And I think you're going to pick Reeves. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about this news? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.